Three. Hey Bobby, where are you this week?
I'm in Minneapolis
Cool.
doing some seminars for a health club chain out here.
Ah, brilliant. Well,
Would
I've
it be
got.
freaky, Jane, if I was actually in my living room and I was just, dressed up just for you?
That would totally freak me out. So here we go. I've got a question for you. It's been on my mind for a while because the industry, our fitness industry, and I know it's the same in the US as the UK, we keep trending. We keep going through different emphases. At the moment, is that a word? At the moment, everything's weight loss, weight loss, weight loss. A while ago, it was dance. Whilst we've got loads of things on the back burner, we tend to fixate, I think, on one big thing and project that onto our clients. So my question is, and sometimes I worry, when we get hook, line and sinker into a trend, do we then kind of force feed this onto our clients so that when we ask them questions and try to get a response for them so that we can, help them, or we're meant to be helping them, my fear is that they give us the answer that they think we want to hear based upon our passion about what it is we're doing in the minute, rather than them actually telling us the truth about what it is they do on a daily basis, which is far from real our model.
That's a very complex question. If I can paraphrase it, I think what we're talking about is how do our biases, or can our biases, influence the behaviors of our client?
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's important to pay attention to trends. If you take a look at the research and material put out by Dr. Charles King, professor of marketing at the University of Illinois, he talks about people who survive and thrive in their industry are the people who are ahead of trends, who can predict trends, and therefore prepare for trends and capitalize on trends, and the people who lose money over and over, the vast majority of businesses, 95% of all small businesses, that's me, that's you, Jane, that's everybody listening to this, whether you have a company with employees or you're self-employed, fail. So if 95% of businesses fail, one of the leading reasons why they fail is because they fall behind trends, and therefore they cannot minister to even the most unexpressed needs of the marketplace. Now, the other side of that is what Michael Gerber, the author of the book The E-Myth, talks about, is we're a lot of us technicians having entrepreneurial seizures. And what that means is we're people who are very much invested in our industry and what we do, the sciences, the methodology, and the application. And at its core, that is a very good thing, where that can be stretched beyond its usefulness or utility, Jane, in my opinion, is where Maslow said that he who is good with a hammer tends to think everything is a nail.
Yes.
For us, the devil is in the details. It's all about understanding the application and the sciences. I want to know why. It's like I'm a Swiss watchmaker. I want to understand how all the gears fit together. But my consumer wants a really shiny apparatus that looks good and can simply tell time. How it works, they don't care. If there are magical little gnomes living inside my wristwatch, turning that thing, I could not care less. And I think that's where our members are coming from. We have to ask ourselves, anytime we're in a situation where there's a trend coming up, and there's a lot of research and the big movement behind it, and our reference group, our colleagues, other professionals we work with, they've jumped on board. What we need to ask ourselves is what is important to the marketplace or the member or the client. Actually, I'm going to stop using the term member. I don't care if they're in a group exercise room. I don't care if they're out on a training floor. I don't even care if they're part of an aquatics program, which
Hey.
used to recently in my career. Member implies customer, and customer implies someone who is involved in a monetary transaction. And if that is how we see our marketplace, we're in a lot of trouble. I refer to everyone as a client because client implies fiduciary responsibility. A client is someone who is under the counsel, direction, guidance, care of a professional. My accountant doesn't see me as a customer, I would hope. He sees me as a client. You
Yeah.
go to an attorney when you're in trouble. So what do our clients who are under our protection, our guidance, our counsel, what are they looking for? And when you break it down to the lowest common denominator, everyone is looking for one thing and one thing only. We don't have time to explain or expound upon this, but they're looking for transformational experiences. Yes, they're looking for an outcome that they wish, hope, desperately need to occur in the future that will make their life in some way better and at the same time alleviate or eliminate pain, physical pain, emotional pain, mental anguish, whatever. But they are also looking for the bridge to that outcome to be paved with an experience that is engaging, exciting, fun, and safe. Not just safe physically, but safe emotionally. Safe from judgment, safe from condemnation, safe from us imposing our autobiography into their life story. And that's where we have to become careful. Jane,
Yeah, that's just what I was going to say. I think you've hit the nail on the head, and especially when people are dealing with groups, they come primarily for the change from A to Z, but they need to feel happy, they need to feel part of it. And I think that was my initial point. You've put it really well, is in order to feel part of it, do they pick up on the group vibe of what the leaders, the A types in the group are all saying, doing and thinking, and then do they just kind of match what they're doing in their lives rather than tell us the truths, their hopes and their fears in order to be part of the pack? They just kind of say what they think the instructor, who is so dogmatic on A, B and C is the right way, they pick up on those things and just kind of sing out of that hymn book without believing it. And we might miss changing them because they're the kind that move on to the next group when it all gets a bit too tough.
John Sinclair is one of our master trainers for PTA Global. And on an inner circle call, he brought this point up. When we are counseling or instructing in groups or one-on-one, he very astutely pointed out that our tone of voice reflects, like if we're saying in a sentence, here's what I want you to do. I want you to do A, B, and C. But when we get to B, we kind of get really emphatic about it. People pick up on those subtle tones, especially when they're dealing with someone in a position of authority who in their mind is a leader, in their mind has information they don't have, and their mind is someone who inspires them, which is a great many people listening to this right now.
Yeah.
And with that comes a level of responsibility. Dr. David McClellan, in 20 years of research at Harvard University, came up with what he calls affiliation theory. And what affiliation theory basically states is that we become a mirror reflection of the people we associate with most, the people we aspire to be like, the people we look up to. So people do take cues from us, and because of everyone's inbuilt fear of rejection, everyone's need for acceptance into a group, acceptance by the leader, they'll kind of listen for little cues in our voice and our physiology, things that we don't say, to help them decide what it is that they should do to please us. And what they do is they abandon for a moment their own needs. And if their needs aren't met, they're simply not going to stay. And when I say needs, I'm not talking about to achieve their goal. There are so many more needs that are met or not met that go outside of what somebody wants to achieve. As a matter of fact, if you want to break it down, long-term exercise adherence has nothing to do with goal achievement, because long-term adherence to anything is based on intrinsic motivation, not what's going on out there. But a lot of times, and if you come from a society or a family where you're expected to toe the line and you're expected to please people who are in a position of authority, teachers, parents, you take that conditioning from the past and you project pain in the future if you don't adhere to it. So you abandon your own needs and subjugate them for the needs of other people who are not equally invested in you in the present. Yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery. What are you going to do with the 86,400 seconds you have today? That is the key. And that's what we need to get our members focused on, is why are they here and what did they need in that journey, not what are we committed to. And we have a lot of great information. A lot of it really works. And a lot of trends have value to offer. But when a trend and our passion supersedes the passion and the needs of the member, we have to really watch out. And Albert Moravian did a study that's misunderstood by a lot of people, and he conducted it a long time ago. What it essentially says is 55% of the people in this study responded not to what someone said or how they said it, but what they did, their nonverbal communication. 38% of people were most influenced by the vocal tonality of others in this experiment, and only 7% of the people in this study really took anything anyone said at face value.
Right.
So tell people we're invested in them. We could tell people that we are suspending judgment, but unless we're really living in that space and their needs are more important than our passions, our predispositions, we're really not going to connect with them, because we've been on the journey. We can see the forest through the trees because we're there and back. So it's almost like traveling for the first time. If you're someone who travels internationally all the time, hopping on a plane and navigating your way through a completely different nation is not a big deal to you. And you sometimes cannot understand a first-time traveler. They've not been there. They don't know what to expect. They have no reference point. And if you travel with them, sometimes it can get quite annoying. But if you look back and say, wow, what was the first time I have ever left home? You'll realize that the state that they're in is not so different from the state you were in. But you're a different person now, 5, 10, 20 years after traveling than you were the first time.
I'm with you. I think that's absolutely great food for thought, actually, for us as instructors. I mean, really, you're speaking quickly today, and there's quite a lot of information, but I think the crux of it is that we do need to dig deeper and put the emphasis back onto them, really. We know generalisms about why they come, why they stay, or why they go, and I think sometimes we need to address what happens when they're with us in order for us to have a bit more influence over those 3 things.
You want to give them what they need.
Yeah.
But it has to be packaged in what they want. Here's a closing analogy. Imagine that everything that you believe in is relevant and valid and useful. That's often not the case, but let's just imagine that everything is quite useful. Now imagine you're holding a piece of exercise tubing, right? And the hand on the top, all right, that is the expectations of your client, of the people who are coming into your classes. And the hand on the bottom that's holding onto this piece of tubing is their actual experience with you. Now, the further the distance between these two hands, the greater the tension on the tubing, and because of the increase in tension, the greater the resistance that tubing provides. Well, that tubing represents the emotional state of the member. They have a certain expectation. It's not based on science. It's not based on research or trends. It is purely based on their perception, their desires, their fears, their values, their past experiences. It's based on their mental filter, period. The further the experience is, the actual experience from the expected experience, the more emotional tension they suffer, and therefore the more resistance you are going to get.
Yeah, that's so true.
Be aware of how much tension is on that psychological piece of tubing.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's brilliant. Guys, I think you might have to listen to that a couple of times to really pick up on the gold that's in what Bobby's just said. Not sure what we're going to do next week. Think it might be something on aquatics, but we're not quite sure. So we'll look forward to that anyway.
That was a joke, by the way.
Bye.